Have you ever really thought about how we describe getting from one place to another in English? It all comes down to these tiny but super important words called prepositions, and today we're going to master them together.
So, how do we actually do it? Well, the secret is in these little words. Honestly, you can think of them as the GPS for our sentences. They tell us not just where we're going, but exactly how we're moving from place to place. So, you ready? Let's dive in.
You know, the best way to learn something is to see it in action, right? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to follow someone on a short trip from her house down the street and see how all these words create a super clear picture of her journey.
All right, every single journey needs a starting point and a destination. So in our story, the journey is from the house to the supermarket. Think of from as the starting line and to as the finish line. It's the basic map for pretty much any movement you're going to talk about.
And she's off. First things first, she walks out of the house. Out of is the perfect phrase for when you're exiting any kind of enclosed space. See how she's moving from inside the house to the outside? That's exactly it.
Okay, here's something I think is really cool about prepositions. So many of them have a direct opposite, which makes them way easier to learn. So the perfect opposite of out of is into. It means to enter a space. And I mean, come on, look at this cat jumping into the box. It's the perfect visual, right? The cat is now inside the box.
So let's just break it down real simple. Out of is to exit. Into is to enter. That's it. If you can remember them as a pair, I promise they'll stick in your head so much better.
Okay, so she's outside now. She starts to move away from the house. This one is all about creating distance. You can almost picture it, right? As she walks, the house is getting further and further behind her. She's leaving it in the distance.
All right, phase one is complete. Our character has left the house. Now she's navigating the city, and things get a little more interesting out here. Let's see how she handles the streets and maybe a few obstacles.
So here she is, walking along a pretty street. When you walk along something, you're basically following its path. You're moving parallel to it. So you can walk along a street, or a river, or even along the beach. You're just going with the flow of it.
As she keeps walking, she goes past a bookstore. Past is super simple. It just means you go by something without stopping. You see it, and then poof, it's behind you and you're still moving forward.
All right, she needs to get to the other side of the road. So she walks across the street. Across always means moving from one side directly to the other. And this picture shows it perfectly. She's in the crosswalk, going from this side to that side.
Hey, here's a quick little vocabulary bonus for you. Pedestrian. A pedestrian is simply a person who's walking. So since our character isn't driving a car or riding a bike, she is a pedestrian.
Good word to know.
Next up, she walks through a pedestrian tunnel. We use through when you're moving inside of something, from one end all the way to the other. You enter it, you're surrounded by it for a bit, and then you exit out the other side. That's through.
All right, the journey isn't over yet. Now we're going to get into some really fun ones. The prepositions that help us deal with different heights and obstacles. Yep, we're talking about all the ups, downs, and arounds.
Let's start with maybe the most classic pair of all. Step 1, she walks up the stairs. She's moving to a higher spot. Step 2, she walks down the stairs, moving to a lower spot. Up and down. Super easy, right?
Ready for another awesome pair of opposites? Let's talk about over versus under. Over is moving above something, and under is moving below it. Let's take a look at a real example. So, check this out. She walks over a stream by using a bridge. The key thing here is that she's moving above the water, right? She's not in it. The bridge helps her pass over that obstacle. Uh-oh, problem. There's a fallen tree right in her way. Now she can't go over it, she can't go under it. So what's left? She has to go around it. Around is what you do when you need to move in a curve to avoid something in your path.
Okay, we've got one last pair of opposites, and this one is all about surfaces. We use onto when you move to the top of a surface, and you use off when you move down from that surface.
And of course, who better to demonstrate this than our favorite preposition expert, the cat? Look, the cat jumps onto the table. It's now on the surface. Then it jumps off the couch. It's leaving the surface. Onto and off. Perfect.
We're getting so close to our destination.
But before we get there, I want to clear up something that trips up a lot of people. It's the small but really important difference between your destination and your direction.
So, let's look at to versus towards. To is your final stop. It's the actual place you're going to arrive. But towards is just the general direction you're heading in. You're moving that way, but it might not be your final stop.
And our journey gives us the perfect example to wrap things up. She walked towards the city center. That was her general direction, right? But she has now arrived to the supermarket. That's her final destination. I love this little saying, towards is the path, but to is the prize. That really helps it click.
Okay, now it's over to you. The absolute best way to make all of this stick is to actually use it. So think about a walk you take all the time, maybe to a local store. Can you describe it? What do you walk past? What do you walk across?